Hello, it's my ending for week 5 for the keto diet. Um, and for week 3 and week 4, I wasn't able to share any of my results because in week 3 I was in Europe. And the most that I could do was provide my measurement loss. And, excuse me, week 4, I was on my period, so I took no measurements whatsoever because it's just way too depressing if you gain weight such as I do. So I can at least give you my week 5. I was finally able to weigh myself, which shouldn't be a big deal, and I've talked about it in the past, of course. Like, weight is definitely not the most important thing that you should be concerned with or worry about, and I still believe that to be true. But like I mentioned before, I do have a weight loss goal that I have to hit within a certain period of time. So for me, of course, it's very crucial. So first thing I will do is I will talk about my total loss for the past 2 weeks. Um, so the last time I weighed in was about 2 weeks ago, I guess. And since then, I've lost 5.2 pounds. Um, which means total pounds lost in the whole 5 weeks is 11.2 pounds. I joined a Facebook keto group, and people like religiously weigh themselves like every day, which I think is a bit excessive. And of course, some people are like, oh, well, how come some people are losing so much more weight in a month, like 40 to 50 pounds, or however much they're losing? Um, I mean, and I guess if you are one of those individuals who feels that way and you're thinking you're doing something wrong, honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. You're probably not doing anything wrong. It just happens that way for some people. Everyone's body is different. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but just speaking from experience and knowing people, everyone's body is different. So however you tend to eat or you choose to eat or whatever you're eating will impact your body. How much you lose, if you're being active or not, also impacts how much you lose. And honestly, some people, they are allergic to certain foods and just don't know it, and that causes inflammation, and then you don't lose either. So there's a lot of reasons of why you can't or may not be losing as quickly as someone else. I also know that a lot of people do intermittent fasting while they're doing this, and I don't, and I never will because I'd probably die from fasting. Um, Good for those people who can do it. I think they do something called 16/8 or something, so they fast for 16 hours and they only eat for 8 hours or something like that. I don't do that. I basically eat anywhere from 3 to 5 times a day. Basically, I just eat when I'm hungry. I do have a set meal plan. I don't generally plan to eat snacks, but if I do get hungry somewhere in between, I will make something. So sometimes I will make like cheese crisps, and I basically just take some like Parmesan shredded cheese, and I will fry that up in a skillet until it turns brown, flip it over, and then let it sit on a paper towel on a saucer. And yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm just getting over a cold as well, so I'm a little sniffly and congested. Total inches lost for week 5 is 3.75 inches. And so for the total of the 5 weeks, I have lost 17.25 inches. So I'm super excited for that. The biggest loss was on my hips, and I lost 4 inches there. Next are my thighs. I lost 3 inches there. And then my waist was 2 inches. And, and then I also measured this one part of my body where I think like men wouldn't necessarily measure this, but women would, which is like right underneath your bust. And I lost 2.5 inches there. So overall, I'm pretty happy. Of course, I wish I lost like 30 pounds because I don't have to worry about it for my surgery in April, but I didn't. I lost 11, but I'm still really happy with that. So I'm just hoping, and I have my fingers crossed, that I will consistently lose about 2 pounds or so a week, and hopefully I'll make my 30-pound limit by... And technically, actually, now that I think about it, I actually only have to lose 15 pounds because I had lost 4 pounds before I started the keto diet. But I still want to lose 30. just to be on the safe side, because all scales are different. My scale is not a doctor scale. It's just, whatever normal scale. And I am assuming the scales in the doctor's office are more accurate. And so I would like to be 5 pounds below my normal scale to make sure that it's still in that weight range that they want me to be in. So, other than that, everything's been going pretty well. Sad the weekend is over. I think I mentioned before that we are selling our house, so it's been quite busy. We've had like over 20 people visiting our place, which is exciting, and I'm happy, and I'm hoping that we sell it because we did end up winning the bid for the other home, and it will really suck to have 2 mortgages, but I'm hoping that we are able to get rid of our place. Let me see what else. Oh, there are some really good positives that I wanted to talk about being on keto, and I don't know how much is keto in my way of eating, because I will be perfectly honest with you, when I kind of watch these Facebook groups that specifically kind of revolve around keto, some people are incredibly strict about staying within the 20 net gram range, and honestly, I'm not that super strict. I probably go about 20 to 30 grams, and if I'm lower than 20, yay. If I'm not, okay, whatever. Like, I don't kind of lose my cool about that, or I don't get upset about that. Some people also use keto sticks. I don't use those either. I really don't feel the need to pee on a stick every day, but I know that some people do, and that's what they choose to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not for me. That's a little bit too much. For me, it's enough to just track my macros and my calories and making sure that I work out. And I also kind of monitor my body in the sense of, like, if I eat certain types of foods, I sorry, my dog is kind of gruffy right now because someone just passed by our door. But anyway, I just kind of monitor how my body is feeling after I consume certain kinds of foods to see if I feel really heavy or bloated. And if I do, I don't eat those foods again. That's been a pretty healthy thing for me. So, like I said, some benefits from doing keto. Number one is if you're pretty in tune with how your body feels, keto is awesome because you start to kind of rethink what you're eating, how much you're eating, and you start to realize, like, what has carbs, what has a lot of carbs, and what doesn't. And for this, like, some people would be like, oh, well, that's totally common sense. But honestly, okay, I love bread, and I've talked about that, and I miss bread a lot. But I never really thought about how much carbs bread has. And then being on the keto diet where you're supposed to be, like, below 20 grams of net carbs, I'm looking at the bread and I'm like, oh my God, this is 26 grams of carbs. And then minus the fiber, which isn't that much. And so then you're still looking at somewhere between 20 grams of carbs. And I'm like, oh my God, like, if I ate bread, this would be like my whole day of, keto. Like I said, so to some people it's common sense, but then I started thinking about, like, oh, how did I used to eat? And I would think, okay, if I had a sandwich, I'd have 2 pieces of bread, and that'd be 40 grams of carbs, and that's just one meal. And then if I have something like pasta or more bread or something. So it was definitely kind of an eye-opening revelation to kind of think about my food in that way. And seeing how many carbs things had. One of my favorite things to drink is milk tea with boba. And I didn't realize how much carbs tapioca had. Like, a quarter of a cup has like 50 something grams of carbs. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me right now? So that's another thing I probably won't really be able to drink. I did get one today, and I get it without sweetener. So it's just tea with milk. So I figured it wouldn't be too bad, but then I started looking up, like, the boba and how much, it's tapioca, but I didn't realize how many carbs it had. And then when I looked it up, I'm like, oh, cool. And so I stopped drinking the milk tea. So I only drank like a quarter of a cup, maybe. I had like 3 or 4 sips of the milk tea, and I probably consumed like 5 or 6 pieces of boba in the process. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll be drinking this all week because I do still want to drink it, but within moderation, right? Because I've already eaten a bunch of other stuff today that didn't have a lot of carbs or anything like that. But I will say, someone had asked me like what my standard day kind of looks like, has been a request. And so I think one of my best days, um, I'll share in a second, but one of the other things that I kind of made fun of, I think, at one point was people drinking bulletproof coffee. I don't really drink coffee. And so I found a recipe for bulletproof tea, and then I kind of adjusted it to my own flavoring. So my version of bulletproof tea is I really like teas with a mint base to it, and I prefer green tea. And I used to get my tea from Teavana, but now they're gone, so it makes me super sad. So I had to find a equivalent like tea to it. And Moroccan tea isn't exactly the same, but it's still got that green tea, or it's black tea, but like it's still got that mint undertone, which I like. So what I do when I make it is I'll do three teaspoons, but that's what I do loose leaf tea. And I will add in 1 tablespoon of MCT oil, 1 tablespoon of butter, and 1 tablespoon of collagen, and I'll throw in like a splash of almond milk. And that's my bulletproof tea. And some people like just drink coffee, the bulletproof coffee, and I thought that was really weird. And I'm like, I can't even imagine that being filling. Okay, let me tell you, it actually is really incredibly filling. So that's actually my favorite go-to for breakfast now. And my version of the tea has 284 calories based upon the ingredients that I use. So I'll put a list of the ingredients below and the brand so you could see what I'm using, but I'll tell you as well in the video. So I use the MCT oil by Viva Labs, and honestly, it doesn't taste like anything. It's just a fat. And then butter, I don't think it really matters. I use unsalted butter, and I use a Trader Joe version. And then I do 1 scoop of collagen by Zint. And so like I said, I will put the ingredients and the proportions that I use in below. And I'll also do a link to like the Amazon area or whatever that I got these from, because I ordered them online. And yeah, so overall, it's really good and it's really filling. And I probably take about 45 minutes drinking it, and then I'll usually reuse my tea leaves and have another cup of tea after that. Other benefits from being on keto, and again, such a bad person. It's not, I guess I'm just not going to say I'm negative, but sometimes I'll watch these videos of people talking about how much energy they have being on keto, and they go a little overly excited for me, which makes me think like, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way, right? Much like the bulletproof coffee thing. And I think part of it is just that I'm not that kind of person. So I don't get overly excited the way some people do about something that's good. But I will say that, yeah, okay, they're not lying. You actually you get a lot of energy from being on the keto diet. I couldn't even begin to explain the science. Some people, some things I've read online, who knows if it's true, because, everything online is true. So it's hard to say, but I guess, what I've been reading from other people is that your body not digesting carbs make it sluggish. So if you're digesting less carbs, then you'll be more energetic. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I will say I'm definitely more energetic. I am not a morning person. If you know me in person, I am one of those people who could totally sleep until 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and be totally happy about that. I don't, because I have a job, but that is something that I used to do when I was younger. Anyway, now obviously I get up at a more reasonable time, but even then, like I was getting up at like 10 o'clock in the morning or something, and now my body just wakes up automatically at 7:30, and I'm just wide awake. I don't know why, and I'm not normally like that. It's not like that, when you wake up sometimes, maybe you don't have this problem, I have this problem, but I would wake up and it'd just be like this really hazy, dull I really want to go back to sleep. Why the hell is it whatever time it is right now? Um, I no longer feel that way. I wake up and it's like this weird magical thing where I'm just awake. I can't go back to sleep. I couldn't if I tried. So I don't even bother. So most of the time I end up beating my alarm. The good things about that is because I get up so early now, and 7:30 is just how I woke up this morning, which was this Sunday morning. Um, but normally during the week, I wake up around 6:30 ish, 6:45, and again, that isn't me like wanting to wake up. That's just when I'm waking up. The good part about that is I immediately wake up and I go to the gym. And that's great. And so I get my workout done way earlier because sometimes what I would do is I'd have my meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning and I would wait until my meetings were over and then go work out. But this way I could just do it before my meetings and then take a shower and then go into work. So versus going into work much later, which is what I would do sometimes. So that's kind of nice. Um, I also started doing jumping exercises. And I refrained from doing those because I had injured my knee a couple of years ago and it never, well, I should say never. It's just been a very, very long, slow process of healing. And if you've ever injured your knee, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard. Um, and so I refrained from doing any sort of jumping exercise. But yeah, I have been able to do them. So I can do jump squats normally. I can do jumping jacks normally. I could do star jumps. It's awesome. I'm super happy about that. I also started doing some different, and I think I talked about this, like a normal person, I still really, 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 really hate HIIT workouts, but I also don't want to be on a freaking treadmill for an hour. So there's that. But I've been feeling so much energy and so energetic that I've actually been able to do more cardio driven HIIT workouts, I guess. I mean, technically they're all cardio driven, but like I'm talking about things that I never really thought I'd be able to do 4 rounds of. So for example, my cardio workouts or my HIIT workout is like the one that I just came up with, that I put together is 30 seconds. And then you do the workout for 30 seconds and then you take a 15-second break. And then you do the next workout for 30 seconds, etc. And then you do that whole thing 4 times, and it's about a 22-minute workout. So you do jumping jacks, mountain climbers, jog in place, burpees, squats, butt kickers, and squat jumps. So yeah. Like I said, the first time I did it, I was like, I can't believe I did this 4 times. Like I would never have been able to do this 4 times like 5 weeks ago. I would have been like, screw this. I'm stopping after my first round or maybe my second round. Hey, stop. So, I should get going because this has been way too long. Oh my God. But yeah. So overall, like I said, keto is working pretty well for me so far. My food is not boring, which is great. And I think that's the hard part of any kind of diet or life change for food, right? Is if you enjoy eating food, which I do, having food that is boring, you're not going to be able to stick to the diet. So I'm happy. I wouldn't say I'd want to eat like this forever, primarily because of the low carbs that I have to consume. But it's not a bad way to be for a few months until I lose the 30 pounds I need to lose. All right. Well, anyway, I'm excited that I lost so many inches and so much weight. And so hopefully it'll just keep going down. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.